You're a Bloomsday Perennial.
I am.
Tell me the story about how did you get involved with Bloomsday, and when you first ran the first race in 1977, did you think you'd still be here today running the 50th?
Definitely not. And I can tell you that I was invited, or a friend of mine, a neighbor, and I would go out, and I'd call it running. He'd probably call it jogging together. And he said, hey, there's this run coming up. Why don't we go do it together? I said, oh, yeah, okay, great. So that's how it started. I had no idea that it would be as much fun as it was that first go-around. And that course went across the Maple Street Bridge. And I can't say that I remember feeling the harmonic tremor, but there was some harmonic tremor. And I think that went for 2 years, and then it got rerouted. Mm-hmm. But it was because of my neighbor that I went. Yeah. So that pretty well defines how it happened. Yeah. But I will say this, that I felt that there would be more of these to come for some reason. It just had a feeling, a vibe, whatever you want to call it. It was a great first outing. Mm-hmm. So that's how that occurred.
And I think at one point it was known as the biggest road race in the U.S.
Well, it may have been. I don't know. Yeah. I couldn't begin to tell you that. But I had heard from a friend. Well, I can tell you the story later. But it just grew with a life of its own. And he was originally involved as one of the JCs who helped put it on. Mm-hmm. And strictly as a function of a talk given to the JCs by Don Cardong. Mm-hmm. So Don is the spirit behind it.
JC is?
Junior Chamber of Commerce.
Okay, gotcha.
Young adults.
Right. Was the race always a 12K that you remember?
I think it was.
Okay.
I think it started that way, and it's been that way the whole time. I don't think it was ever longer or shorter. I can tell you this. I don't think I ever did it under an hour more than twice.
That's moving.
Well, not really.
I mean, in my perspective, that's moving. So you do it 1 year, and then you just decide, I'm going to keep this going.
I did, but it wasn't so deliberate that it had a life of its own. It just seemed like a nice thing to do, and go with friends or whatever, family, and we did. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, I turned 80, and I think 23 of us in our family participated together.
Wow.
In it. And that would be, children, in-laws, grandchildren. And I don't think any great-grandchildren were pushed through the... But,
what is it about Bloomsday for you that keeps you coming back every year?
It's such a community event. It couldn't happen without volunteer help, period. The runners are sort of a secondary consideration in the sense that you're participating in the race, but the race couldn't possibly happen without all these other wheels in motion. And whether it be a church group, a civic group, a school group, doing all the things that have to be done behind the scenes at no cost to Bloomsday or the participants beyond, the minor cost for registration. But it's all volunteer work, mm-hmm. and that's a real positive commentary on any community, mm-hmm. to have that kind of participation.
You've done it. This will be your 50th running of it.
It will.
I don't know if you've done the math, and I'm terrible at math. But you
the
were what, 32 the first year, if I'm doing that correctly?
I remember being 33, but I was right on the cusp. So my birthday's in late April.
Okay.
Do the math on that.
Yeah.
What is in my mind is I was 33.
We'll just say early 30s.
Okay, sure, that's right.
What's your favorite part of Bloomsday?
Well, I could be facetious and say finishing, but I think that just experiencing the community process along the way. There is no one single favorite part. It's a real tribute to Spokane that we have it. The total population of Bloomsday waxes and wanes from year to year. It's not always the same. I think, though, that Spokane has a pretty good reputation, not just being hoop town, but also when you look around the high schools, it's a great running town. So I don't consider myself a runner. In fact, I'll walk it this year. There's no jogging. It's a walk.
Yeah.
And it's a painful walk.
Especially those hills.
Well, actually, it's the whole thing. But what keeps you going
Yeah.
is the energy of the crowd and the cheering and all the other elements of it. It's not just it's not competition. In my case, it's absolutely not.
Right.
Finishing is the competition.
You might be reluctant to hear this, but you are now among Bloomsday royalty in that you are one of 68 so-called perennials. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Well, I will say this, that I've enjoyed reading about each of the other perennials over the last several months, and everyone has a story. Everyone has had obstacles that have gotten in the way, and yet they work around them, plow through them, whatever it may be. And whether it be Sylvia Quinn and the other ladies or the men that have done it, I think one guy started at age 12, and I saw him at one of the perennial luncheons, probably 15 years ago. And I said, you're going to be the last man standing. And he said, I don't think so. He said he had a real serious bout of cancer, and he had no assurance that it would not reoccur. And oh man, that's heartbreaking to hear. But when somebody starts that young, they've got a head start. I mean, for me to be doing that, I'd be 101 or 102, whatever it would be. Do the math.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, will you just keep going until you're not able to anymore? What's your thought process on that?
I've thought about that. I've discussed that with Mary Jane, my wife, and 50 is a nice round number. And I bumped into Don Cardong at a gathering here this last September. I said, Don, I'm thinking about retiring at 50. It's really hurting. And he said, well, I'm hearing a lot of that. So I'm not going to say no. I'm not going to say never. If good Lord is willing and I can handle it, I'll do it. But it won't be easy, it won't be pretty, and it won't be fast.
I'm being redundant, so I apologize, but I'm going to ask the question or a similar question again. There are years, the whole COVID era, where we had to run it kind of on your own. There are years when the weather's not great. Why do you keep doing it every year?
I think I did it when COVID was on twice, and I did it on the Children of the Sun Trail. We don't live far from there. And I made darn sure that I had pegged out 8 miles so that there was no question. But after the second time around that way, I thought, no way. If I can't get down there and start with the group and finish, I don't care if I'm at the tail end, with the group, I'll hang it up. And I've been able to just keep it going. The one year that it was so challenging was I broke my leg skiing in February, and I don't want to repeat myself from the newspaper article, but through the grace of the plastic surgeon, Laura Bonneau, came into my room about midnight at Sacred Heart and said, well, you seem kind of down. And I said, well, I am. I just went through an 8-hour surgery. What are you doing here? And she said, well, I've been operating, of course. And I said, well, okay, I get that. But if I seem down, it's because I don't think I can do Bloomsday. She said, you can do Bloomsday. All you have to do is be in a wheelchair, and I'll help push you. And I thought, wow. And so with that, I called an old friend who has done all of them with the exception of the first one, which breaks my heart. I wish there were an exception for him. But she and her 6-year-old son at the time helped 10 or 12 other people push me. Now, you can say, well, that's a Bloomsday with an asterisk, and it is. But it was authorized. It was okay. It's, so
Wow.
you know.
That's pretty cool.
And it was one of the most enjoyable Bloomsdays, Frank, not because I was being pushed, but because of all the camaraderie. In fact, I couldn't have had a worse wheelchair because it was a racing wheelchair.
Yeah.
And they're real low slung. And so without getting into the details of that, it was a very gracious guy who, at age 18, lost a leg in Vietnam. And just to, his sense of humor was great. He said, well, I was kind of like a human minesweeper. And he was in the Marine Corps. And I ended up using his wheelchair. And it was not easy for the people pushing, but it was fun.
Yeah.
So,
do you remember what year that was, roughly?
yeah, I do. It was 2018 because I had broken my leg that February. So, that's one of the only years I can remember in the last 50 years.
I mean, the fact that you're still skiing in 2018 is great.
Well, I was skiing too fast.
Yeah, well.
And it was low light.
Yeah, yep. I'm just curious, like your thoughts, like when you get to the starting line, or if you're, along the Bloomsday route, rather. Do you ever kind of take a step back and just kind of reflect on your time with the event and kind of what it means to you?
Yes, in the sense that every year I'm somewhat overwhelmed by the awesome turnout of people. And when I say people, I mean everybody, young, old, tall, thin, fat, slender, you name it. And I think that from my point of view, and now that I'm a walker, I would say that anyone who really wants to do it or has put it off, hasn't considered it simply because, well, I don't think I can go that far, just go do it. And I don't mean you have to go out and train to get into great physical shape to do it. Be willing to put up with the discomfort during the duration of the race, and then the 4 or 5 days thereafter, when you'll be a little bit stiff and sore, maybe blisters, but just go out and give it a shot. And even if you can't make it, at least you can say, I've experienced it. Mm-hmm. So I would rather think that more than, I have no idea, but I would guess 99% of the people that start it finish it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is, I mean, it's pretty wild, and it's, I don't know, hard to describe if you're not there in person, just to be around that amount of people.
Yeah.
Kind of all doing that same thing.
And happy.
Right.
And that's all, politics, religion, none of that matters. Body type doesn't matter. Nothing other than just having a good time and sharing in the same experience at once.
We'll get this wrapped up, but I'll just ask you finally, this will be the 50th one. Do you anticipate this being any different than any of the other ones you do?
There might be a little bit more hype, but no, I don't. I really think it'll be very similar. It'll be fun. It'll be buoyant. I think it'll be a typical Bloomsday, just happens to have a 5 and a 0 associated with it.
Mm-hmm. Bloomsday is Spokane.
It's Bloomsday. That's the shirt.
Yeah. Am I leaving anything out that you would like to add? Any, gosh, I imagine along the way you've met friends, may have lost friends.
Yeah, both. Yeah, I'll tell you. So in the article that I was in the paper, I was whining about having lent my first Bloomsday T-shirt to, I think it was Luigi's restaurant or something like that. They wanted to have all of them, and this was 10 or 12 years ago. And our office was next door. I lent it to them. They had them all draped up, and I forgot to go get it, and they forgot to give it back, so I lost it. And that was my favorite Bloomsday shirt. So a friend that I hadn't seen for 25 years got a hold of me a day or two after that article appeared. Pete, I have the first Bloomsday shirt, if you'd like to have it.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah. He said, actually, my job during that first Bloomsday was passing out T-shirts. So we met the following week, had breakfast together, got caught up, and now I have the original Bloomsday T-shirt, which I always lamented having lost. It's a size small. I can't wear it.
Maybe at home.
Yeah, but that's the power of the press.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to ask you one question. So you do the first one, then you decide to do the second one. Is there ever a moment where you're like, okay, I'm committed now. I have to do all of them?
Well, the one that comes to mind is our youngest daughter, Emily, who was a distance runner at Montana State University, was getting baptized. I was there for her baptism, but I bailed out on the party because I had to go down and do Bloomsday. That didn't go over real well, but she turned out okay. And so we have two distance runners in the family that are accomplished runners. Our daughter, Emily, who still runs, swims. I mean, she's a war horse. And then her younger brother, who's the youngest of the 6 kids, ran for the University of Washington. Wow. So they didn't get it from me. I don't know where it came from. I mean...
Well, they got your determination, for sure.
And some speed thrown in with it.
Yeah,
that I've never had.
Cool. Well, thank you for your time.
Well, thank you.
I appreciate it.